Hello everyone, welcome back to another Mattarific reaction of BatmanCapedCrusader. Last episode, we were introduced to a new Batman, a new Jim Gordon, a new Barbara Gordon, a new Harvey Dent, and a female Penguin. It's a new Batman series that harkens back to the old 1930s Detective Comics, while also updating it for the modern times, with the help of J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves, Ed Brubaker, and last but not least, Bruce Timm. Let's see where the series goes next in the second episode, and be a villain. Someone's watching that woman in the bushes. Is it a friend or a foe? Watch out! Damn it. It's too late. Written by Greg Rucka. I know that name.
We're here to talk about a missing woman, not a speeding ticket.
But I'd also like to keep my family name out of the papers, if possible. You, Miss Montoya?
It's Detective Montoya, Mr.
Renee Montoya.
I just want to find Yvonne Francis. You were the last person to see her. That's the only reason you're here.
It's his car.
Your butler says you dropped Miss Francis off at 11?
10:52.
Most people can't do that. Remember an exact time like that?
I was watching the clock.
Don't say anything else.
This is Lucius Fox, my lawyer.
Lucius
Mr.
Fox.
Wayne is assisting in a missing persons case, Mr. Fox.
Get your things, Bruce.
Voiced by Bumper
Mr. Wayne
Robinson.
isn't a suspect.
I'm here instead of interviewing him at his estate.
I wasn't aware having an
It seems to me, sir, that you might be better served pursuing your own investigation.
She got angry when I offered her a bribe. If she's honest, intelligent, and incorruptible, she could be an asset.
I really thought I was getting somewhere before the attorney got here.
So what's your next move?
I'm going to the movies.
Clayface.
Detective Montoya, I'm wondering if you could answer a few questions.
Please come in.
His face already looks like
Is
it's
there any
melting.
news? We've been in half a dozen features together. Normally I play the heavy who comes leering after her damsel in distress. We all have our parts to play. This new film would have been the first time I'd seen her in months. Just rumors. That she was becoming, well, troubled.
When you...
They were rumors. I didn't heed them. Perhaps I should have. I'm afraid.
And this one was last Tuesday. There's Miss Francis.
You said this was Tuesday?
That's right.
I haven't seen her in months, huh?
And Mr. Haynes doesn't...
I do enjoy seeing Renee Montoya work. I really like her character, especially as a question. I hope she becomes a question at some point. Surprising.
Ambulance 2462.
Is that the Shadow? Old comic book vigilante. Look it up. Guessing that's the real Clayface. Which one? There's so many. I was correct. Good work, Batman. It's like the Phantom of the Opera.
Where...
Relax, Miss Francis. Mustn't ruin your makeup.
What are you... Help! Oh, someone help me!
I was so sure Carlo was a suspect. Turns out he was a victim.
Don't be so hard on yourself, Renee.
You took a big risk, making me a detective. I've let you down.
Not yet, you haven't.
So I offered him double or nothing. How's the Yvonne Francis case coming?
Well, it's now part of the Basil Carlo murder investigation, so at the moment I'd say not very well.
You give me an arrest, and I can put on a hell of a trial. Make us both look good. Case like this could do wonders for my mayoral campaign.
Mr. Dent, I genuinely don't think I could care less about your mayoral campaign.
Start caring. Because after Election Day, you'll want to be on my good side, Renee.
That is a threat. You should report that.
You know what I'm looking at right now, Sydney? You're gonna find me another screamer to replace the Francis girl, and you're gonna do it today! Turn up, just set it up.
Poor guy. Unless he's the villain. In which case, I have no sympathy for him. Spoke too soon. He's about to be murdered. Oh. That was an expensive set. Oh my.
Anything?
While lovely to look at, Miss Francis is no Gloria Swanson.
Oof.
Anything useful?
Regrettably, sir, no. Anything useful?
Some sort of silicate. Peculiar.
A monogram, perhaps?
An abbreviation. Monoscope Pictures Wardrobe. Our killer has access to the studio.
That narrows it down quite a bit.
Detective Montoya, I'm expected.
Basil Carlo was one of the finest actors it has been my privilege to work with, Detective. I'd go so far as to call him one of the finest actors of our generation. What a loss.
Did others share your opinion?
He was magnificent, incomparable, but didn't have the right look. He didn't have the right face.
Vaughn worked with Carlo a half dozen times.
Did he enjoy working with Miss Francis?
That's one way to put it. He had it bad for her.
All night long, nothing.
Did she feel the same way?
I don't think so. She had enormous respect for Basil. She felt he'd been cheated.
With your
Sure, but it also made him desperate to do something about his looks.
The which is undoubtedly what drove him to that lunatic conman Jack Elman. He was a makeup artist at the studio. Worked with Basil a few times.
The treatment will remake your career, Basil. I just need some time and some more money.
Anything, Jack. I need a miracle.
I doubt there ever was one, Detective.
That was the guy holding Lowen captive.
Carlo lost his patience with Elman.
You're as stupid as you are ugly. You can't rush something like this.
You're nothing but a fraud.
That's it, Elman! You're fired!
Must have been 2 months back.
No! No! No!
Your job is to act the way I direct. Me, the director. I'll be in my office reconsidering my career.
Is it the Weeper? Looked like him. Or Batman the Brave and the Bold. Look him up.
Run.
And there goes another expensive set. Humanity. So showed respect.
I've found 2 bodies. Lou Valentine and the movie star Daryl Manning. I'd say they've been dead at least a day. Problem is, Detective Montoya just interviewed Manning an hour ago.
Shapeshifter.
This is Montoya, requesting additional backup on suspect Elman. Jack.
This is Flash. We're on the way. Nice night.
We got any of those pickles left?
Nope.
Cruel Man. So this Clayface is definitely a shapeshifter. I know that fits the MO, but there have been a few Clayfaces that aren't shapeshifters. I'm particularly fond of one of them. I'll tell you about him after the reaction is over.
Yes?
Montoya, police. You Jack Elman?
Yes. Please, we can talk inside.
Is it really him or Clayface? Or are they one and the same? That's disturbing. How the coroner missed that.
The treatment you offered Carlo, was that part of your work?
Oh, you heard about that. It was experimental.
What about you? Hard or easy?
Punch him again. That was correct. I don't blame her for flinching. That is a very disturbing image. So that is Carlo.
Carlo?
Very good, Detective. It is I, Basil Carlo.
What did you do to your face?
Do you want the whole tale, Detective?
Yes.
Of all the years, all the parts lost because of my face. Of how Elman promised he could fix it. How he gave me a miracle instead.
Ugh.
They said I could have played 1,000 parts if not for my face. But now I have a face that actually could play 1,000 parts. I went to Yvonne to show her that now things would be different. That I could finally be the star she'd seen in me. Don't be...
Oh, no. Get away from me.
She rejected me.
Yeah.
She refused to play her part. I've been given a gift to match my talent. I can be anyone, fool everyone. Just as you had no clue, the Basil Carlo you found with a knife in his back was Jack Elman. I used his own serum on him before I killed him.
Everything...
I find I am growing into the role.
Meaning you've gotten a taste for murder.
I have, and I'm not finished yet. I have finally found my lost role, but after a lifetime of playing the heavy, the thug, the brute, the scoundrel, I have realized it was perfect casting all along. Villain is the part I was born to play.
Oh, for the love of Pete. I don't believe you.
What? I killed Elman and Valentine.
I don't believe your performance. You're chewing on scenery, relying on makeup effects to enhance weak characterization. It's insincere, Basil. It's not real.
Not real. I'll show you real!
Watch out for that thing.
Madonna, but faster would be good.
Working on it.
At this point, you can just, pull her off a bit. He might not be a great fighter. He's not indestructible.
I don't want to shoot you, but I absolutely will.
He just saved you.
Police! Everyone freeze!
Damn it!
Good old grappling hook.
You saw that?
Boy, oh boy, did I see that, Miss Francis.
Thank you, but I've had enough horror in the past few days.
Oof. Tracking device.
I know you're still listening. We're not done, you and me.
So Carlo was voiced by Dan Donahue. Okay, that was a satisfying episode after the series premiere of Batman CapedCrusader. I enjoyed this interpretation of Clayface, Basil Carlo. I do recall that even though Batman the Animated Series used Matt Hagen's Clayface, they used Basil Carlo's origin story. Because, if I remember correctly, Matt Hagen was a treasure hunter, and he found some relic that gave him the Clayface powers. But my personal favorite Clayface is a lesser-known Clayface, Preston Payne. While Matt Hagen or Basil Carlo are the most used Clayfaces, I think Preston Payne is the most interesting, in that he has a very, very bizarre, damaged psyche. He has the ability to melt anyone he touches, and as a result, he can't really connect to people. The only person he loves is a mannequin named Helena. Because Helena is a mannequin, he can't melt her with his powers, and has gone through all these mental gymnastics to believe that she is an actual person. There was a really good issue written by Alan Moore of Watchmen and Swamp Thing fame that goes over Preston Payne's psyche and his point of view over his relationship with Helena and Batman. I recommend it. It is a very, very, very good read. But enough about that, on with the rest of the episode. I liked that the Clayface was dressed as the Shadow. The Shadow was a very, very, very old vigilante comic book character, and was a bit of a basis for Batman back in the day. While he's not as popular as he once was, he's clearly got enough of a fan base for him to be referenced as a costume for Clayface in this episode. I hope to see more references like that in future episodes, and I at least hope that I get them. I was happy that Renee Montoya was the main character in this episode. I really liked her debut episode in Batman the Animated Series, and I've enjoyed her in comic books like 52 and The Question. While I think Victor Sage is my preferred Question, Renee Montoya is my preferred second. She was portrayed with competence and strength, and she ended up saving the girl in the end, and I don't think Batman would have caught Clayface in time without her help. I also like that Lucius Fox had a cameo in this. But instead of him being a business manager at Wade Enterprises, he's Bruce's lawyer. Maybe he'll upgrade to that status in the future, but for now, he's Bruce's lawyer, still very helpful. In terms of Clayface's portrayal, I felt it was a very satisfying slight remix. They kept all the parts of Basil Karlo being an actor who is getting too old. They kept necessary parts while mixing some stuff up. This Basil Karlo was relatively close to the comics that I'm used to, but enough was changed for him to stand on his own. While Basil Karlo was a movie actor and a leading man who was just becoming more self-conscious about his age, this Basil Karlo was never a leading man. He was always playing the villain thanks to his appearance, and wanted more. I feel like that was an interesting change, and I was actually caught off guard by the bait and switch. I really did think that they killed off Basil Karlo, and that Clayface was going to be somebody else. I would also like to praise Yvonne, the actress. While I expected her to be the usual damsel in distress and a plot device to start off the episode, she really stole the show in the end, criticizing Karlo's performance as the villain. It showed that she had real courage, and that she wasn't the usual damsel in distress you'd find in Batman the Animated Series or other TV shows. So, I applaud that subversion. It made her character far more memorable than she would have been otherwise. Another thing to note is that this series does seem to take place somewhere in the 1920s to 1940s, judging by the radio that Bruce Wayne was playing with. Now, of course, the 1920s or 1940s did not have stuff like the Batmobile or the Bat-Sub, where people could just make those, so it's clearly slightly more technologically advanced than would be otherwise, because otherwise Batman would not be as fun. But you have stuff like old-timey cars, old-timey police uniforms, buildings, guns, etc., etc., etc. It gives the world more of its own identity than it would be to just place it in the present day. But one small disappointment I had is that while Yvonne was dating Bruce Wayne at the beginning of the episode, we never really saw them together. Their relationship was just there for the convenience of the plot. That gave me the impression that their relationship was never that important, and I was kind of hoping that maybe Yvonne and Renee Montoya would get together at the end, because Renee was the one who saved her, and Renee Montoya is a lesbian in the comics. I thought maybe the show would portray that. Now, Renee Montoya was not a lesbian originally in Batman the Animated Series, but she was later portrayed as a lesbian in the Gotham Central comics forward, and became one of the most famous gay comic book characters in DC and in comic books in general. But I guess that hasn't translated over to the show for now. Maybe she will be confirmed to be a lesbian later in the series. We can give it time. And one final thing I want to know before I end the video is that this series is clearly much more mature and much more violent than the original Batman the Animated Series. While the original was known for its violence and dark themes, CapedCrusader goes a little step further, showing some pretty grisly deaths so far in its first 2 episodes, which you would not get from a cartoon directed at kids, even cartoons where characters died, like X-Men the Animated Series. You wouldn't see somebody drown in a case. You wouldn't see somebody be electrocuted. You wouldn't see a knife in a person's back. This gives me hope for where the series could go in the future, as CapedCrusader is directed more for adults than for kids, like Batman the Animated Series, which was directed for both adults and kids, so it could never get too mature, too violent, too dark, too grisly. CapedCrusader, it doesn't apply to those rules. Well, that's all I have to say, so tune in next time for another Mattarific reaction of Batman CapedCrusader.